Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Unconexception mini session stream. We are now at episode 26, I think. And today we'll just have a short stream. I'll be sharing about text fragments or how we can link to specific texts in our destination page. So let's just start with me showing how it works. So I'm pretty sure you've encountered this before already, where when you do a Google search, for example, so I've tried different queries earlier, none of them work. So this is the only one that I found that worked. So for example, when you search a query in Google, we get search results. And then when we click on, for example, one result, we get to the destination page, and then like a specific snippet of the page gets highlighted, which is relevant to our query or to our search terms. And that's just highlighted for us. And then if it's down the page, it gets scrolled into view automatically so that our attention is focused on that already, which might answer our query. So that's what text fragments are, allowing us to like highlight and scroll to specific text in a page. So we're familiar with similar approaches before, like element fragments. So you s- that's when we scroll to a specific element on the page using their ID, right? So for example, I want to scroll to this clipboard events page. So we can just add a link that says clipboard events. So this is the ID of that element. And we get scrolled to that element right away because that element has the clipboard events ID. So that's cool. But what if our text doesn't have an ID, or for example, it's a paragraph, it's a long paragraph, doesn't have an ID, and we want to highlight it? We can't do that using element fragments, and what we need are text fragments. So what is a text fragment? So a text fragment is still part of the URL syntax. It looks like this. So it still starts with the hashtag, similar to like the element fragments, and followed by this weird sequence of characters, colon, tilde, colon, then text equals the text that we want to highlight and focus on. So let's say returns. So as you see, we got scrolled down the page, and the first occurrence of the returns word is highlighted. So we can even um, highlight longer text. For example, we want this entire phrase, so we can just do what's that? I just copy it. Copy. So we can just do hashtag. So remember the sequence, hashtag, colon, tilde, colon, text equals the text that we want to highlight. So this needs to be URL encoded. So that means spaces will become question mark 20, for example. So you can just use the URL encode function here or whatever you're using. So here we see adding that text fragment scrolls down the page to where that text is located and then highlights it. So yes, this is how text fragments work. So when you scroll or when you click anywhere, the highlight disappears and you can continue reading the page. And this doesn't require an ID. Oops, sorry. This doesn't require an ID for that element. It's really just a paragraph with some text. Okay. So let's say, so that's like that's the basic syntax for text fragments, matching a specific phrase or like sequence of words in our page. What if we want to highlight like a longer section of text? For example, I want to highlight, okay, let's say we want to highlight these 3 paragraphs. So one way we can do this is copy everything, and then encode the entire thing, entire text, and put them in the text fragment in the URL. But that would be very long, and I think URLs have like a maximum length allowed. So let's not do that. What we can do is the other syntax where we provide a start text that we want to highlight and also an end text that where we want our highlight to be, and then everything in between will also be highlighted, and the whole thing will be scrolled into view. So let's try that. The syntax, like the sequence and everything is still the same. Hashtag colon, tilde colon, and then text equals. So first we provide our start text, which is this one. We can make it, well, we'll talk about this maybe later, but let's just pick like some words. So these events don't fire. And okay, how do we encode this? So make sure we need to encode this. So encode. Okay, let's copy. So this will be our start text. Then we need to provide our end text, which is this one, such as text/html. Okay, copy the encoded result. And we separate the start text and end text with a comma. So comma, paste it there. And as you can see, everything is highlighted. So let's scroll back up. Okay, I just lost everything. Let's try that again. Okay, so let's try that again. Hashtag colon, tilde colon, text equals the start, comma, the end. And so I'll just copy the whole link. So let's scroll back up to the page, and let's say we click a link that looks like this. Let's say from Google search results or wherever. And once we visit that link, we get scrolled down to the specific part of the page where that text is located. So as you saw, we didn't copy the entire thing, like the entire 3 paragraphs. We only copied the start and the end of like the text that we want to highlight. So how much words do we actually need? Do we actually need for the start text and text? And that depends actually on what you're going to highlight. So for example, if we just use these and HTML, like 1 words each, text equals these, comma, HTML. Okay, we're lucky that it's still going to be the same, but it depends on this page. There could be other paragraphs that starts with these and ends with HTML. So it's safer to, like, if you're sure that there's only one result for these up to HTML, and that's fine. But if you're not, you can choose few more words for the start and the end, just to make sure that you only get one result. That's because if there are multiple results for that range, it will get like the first one and also like the shorter version. For example, if there's an HTML here, it will only highlight this instead of up to here. So yeah, maybe picking like a few words for the start word, for the start text and end text is good, just to make it, just to give it more chances that it will be unique all across the page. Okay, so that's two syntax for text fragments, matching a specific text and also matching like a range of text for like longer text selections or like text results. Let's take a look at another use case for, another like syntax for text fragments, and that is like the prefix and suffix syntax. For example, I want to highlight this Okay, let's say I want to highlight this result word. So I can just say, so just the result word, not the, for example, this, use this. So I can just say hashtag text equals result, right? But remember, it will always match like the first text that matches the pattern. So as you can see, it's showing us this result instead of the one that we want, which is supposedly this one. So we also can't provide an end text here because we only want to match one word. So what is it going to look like? So that's where the prefix and suffix portions of the text fragments like come in and become very useful. So instead of, so we want to match result, but we want to match the result that are prefixed by this text and are followed by this text. But this will not be included in the highlighted text, only the result. So it looks something like this. Hashtag colon, tilde, colon, text equals. So first, we want the results, right? But this will match the first appearance of result on the page. So before we put that, we put our prefix. So syntax is prefix dash. So whatever the prefix text that we want. So we escape can, this is too time consuming. Use this and then dash comma. So this indicates that this is the prefix that we want. So we want to match result, the result word, but only the one that is prefix or like that follows this specific pattern also. So let's see if this works. Okay, as you see, okay, let's do that again. As you see, it already got the correct, it already highlighted the correct result word instead of this one, which is not the one that we want. That's because we specified that we only want the result word that is preceded by this specific text. So that's the prefix syntax. And if it happens that you also have multiple result words that are preceded by, we can use this. We can also add an additional suffix at the end. So it will look something like this. So this is the same as before, the prefix. Okay, let's go through the entire syntax. So hashtag colon tilde colon text equals and then the prefix. So the prefix and then the prefix should end with a dash. That's how we indicate that this is the prefix. And then the actual string that we want to highlight, and then another comma followed by the suffix. So results should be followed by this pattern. So the suffix is indicated by like a starting dash. And let's say, for example, so for example, it will give us this result because it was preceded by, we can use this and then followed by, for example. So that's how text fragments work. This gives us a new way to like highlight and like scroll to specific portions of our page, even though they don't have an ID. And if we can highlight like, so element fragments or just the ID, they only scroll to the page, doesn't highlight the text unless there's like special CSS that highlights this. But text fragments, it also already highlights the result that we want. So that's cool. And also, if you notice, after the browser redirects to the page with a text fragment, the text fragment is removed automatically. So yes, that's intentional. We don't have to add like any JS to do that. That is done automatically by the browser. That is to make sure that JS code can't like access the fragments. I mean the text fragment. Yep. So let's try to look at it again. So let's see this Google text results. If we hover at this first result, if you look at the bottom left corner, which shows the link, it actually says like this link will go to https support@google.com/ blah 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 blah, and then at the end it has a text fragment that says hashtag colon tilde colon text equals featured snippets come from the web comma. So that's how they do this. So I've noticed like these text fragments being used in some sites before, like yeah, of course, here in the Google like support pages. I also saw some like Stack Overflow pages where I get redirected into a text fragment in the answers. So that's some of the places where I saw text fragments being used, but I'm pretty sure it's a lot. It's used a lot out there. We just maybe didn't pay attention to it. So, and that's pretty much it. So to learn more about text fragments, this is also just where I learned about text fragments. So text fragments, by the way, it's available starting like Chrome 80 and available in Chrome and also in like Chromium-based browsers. So here's a web.dev article that like introduces text fragments and like everything you can do with it and all the syntax stuff, which is what we just talked about. So so the nice thing with this article is like at the bottom, there's information about some of the considerations like security, privacy, polyfills, and stuff. So make sure to take a look at this if you want to learn more. But to summarize, this is what a text fragment is. It starts with a hashtag, colon, tilde, colon. Oh, this is like the directive part. And text equals prefix, dash. So the prefix string should end with a dash, comma, the start text, the end text, comma, and then the suffix. So you can remove the parts that you don't need here, like the suffix if you don't need it, the end text if you don't need it, the prefix if you don't need it. So I think the minimum requirement here is like the actual text that you want to match exactly. So that's pretty much it for this quick tip episode about text fragments, and hopefully you like if you see this in the wild where you're searching at Google for random stuff, you recognize that okay, this is a text fragment. I know how this works. So that's it for today, and like thank you for watching this video, and we do these streams every Saturday 9 p.m. So see you in the next one next week, and bye bye.